gonna be like, it's really us. It's the funny part. I think we checked the envelope to make sure they read it right. Don't want to replay last year.
Thank you very much. Growing up in Mexico as a kid, I was a big admirer of foreign film like E.T. or William Wagner or Douglas Sirk or Frank Capra. And a few weeks ago, Steven Spielberg said, if you find yourself there, you find yourself at the podium, remember that you are part of a legacy, that you're part of a world of filmmakers, and be proud of it. I'm very, very proud. I want to dedicate this to every young filmmaker, the youth that is showing us how things are done. Really they are, in every country in the world. And I was a kid enamored with movies. Growing up in Mexico, I thought that if this would never happen, it happens. And I want to tell you, everyone that is dreaming of a parable, of using genre fantasy to tell the stories about the things that are real in the world today, you can do it. This is a door. Kick it open and come in. Thank you very much.
Julia Pierpont from Xinhua News of China.
Yes.
Could you really understand and have an extraordinary ability to look into the shadow side, into the darker side
Yes.
of human nature and fantasy
Yes.
and terror. But you also are a really joyful and loving person.
Yes.
So how do you find that balance?
I'm Mexican, and you know, no one loves life more than we do in a way, because we are so conscious about death. So the preciousness of life, standing side to side to the one place we're all going through. Let's say everybody in this planet boarded a train that was final destination death. So the train, we're gonna live. We're gonna have beauty and love and freedom. And I think that when you eliminate one of the two sides from the equation, it's a pamphlet. When you take in account the dark to tell the light, it's reality.
Excuse me. Excuse me. حبيبي أحبك حبيبي عمري بابا شو تريد حبيبي اجيب لك عمري وانت مو قلت لي اجيب لك شيء بس من العنوان ما دزيتوا لي العنوان حبيبي على مود ادز لك اياه اوكي خلي ماما تدز لي العنوان مالتك على مود ادز لك اياه اوكي او ادز لك اياه ببريطانيا بلندن اوكي Give me a kiss حبيبي سويتوا حفلة عيد ميلاد ولا بعد بابا؟ تونست حبيبي؟ سووا لك كيكة لو أنا الكيكة ما فيها I love you. You're my son, you're my hero. Forward to firing him today. I'm going to fire you officially in front of the cabinet. But it's good to have a good relation, a healthy relation with your staff, because you don't want them actually to stab you in the back. We are using knives here, so you don't want that.
Special guest in the wings, Yasser, who's going to join us on stage also. So first of all, big thank you to CineQuest for having us here. It's been such an honor and really incredible to be able to have our world premiere locally, especially with our community. We've had incredible attendance. I think we're estimating somewhere around 600 to 700 people have now seen this film, thanks to you guys. I think there's 187 of you out there. Very appreciative. So I'm just going to go ahead and I guess this guy needs no introduction, but I'm going to pass the mic down and let people introduce themselves.
I had a whole documentary. I don't need to introduce.
Hi, this is Yasser.
Hi, I'm Neva Tassin. I'm a co-producer on the film.
And I am Scott Schwartbigger, the assistant editor, and as Aaron said, so much more.
So I think a lot of us would like to know how you found out about F1's story and what started the ball rolling with you creating this film.
These guys have heard this story like 5 times now this last 2 weeks, but back in 2008, I was working with a couple colleagues and we were interested in making a film together. We'd just come off of a big project and we thought we would do it the right way. We would raise the money first and then make the film. And I think you know where the punchline is probably going with that one, but we were writing a grant proposal and Karina O'Riordan, my colleague, had found out about this very, very new community that was forming here in the Bay Area of refugees from Iraq. There was a large community in the San Diego region from the first Gulf War, but there was a new community that was forming thanks to the International Rescue Committee and some other organizations that were bringing people like Azwan here. And I think Azwan was one of 4 people that we talked to in the beginning, and maybe 5, and no one was willing to be on camera before we spoke with him. And the IRC called me up and said, this guy just came here. I think he'd come 2 months earlier when we met him, and he's interested in speaking to the press. And so I called him up, and I was actually ready to hang up the phone because we had already submitted the grant proposal, and we didn't feel like there was a film because people were not willing to be on camera. For interesting reasons, mostly afraid for the reputation and the safety of their family back in Iraq and being in a film and what that would mean for them. Very candid and open with their stories. And so I thought to ask Azwan before I hung up the phone if he would be willing to be on camera. And now that you know his personality, you can imagine he said, heck yeah, and I've got a story to tell. And we didn't get the funding, but we couldn't walk away from the story.
I thought we have a few questions from the audience. Anyone?
Yeah, I've got one. I want to thank my friend Babs for telling me about this great film by Aaron. And I'm wondering if there was ever any thought about changing your name just to protect your family.
In case anyone didn't hear, was there ever thought of changing your name for protection?
I mean, look, if I am afraid or I'm scared of anything or change, you know, when you change your name means I'm going to cover my face. I'm doing this, that's the whole goal of it. I don't want to change anything. I am who I am, and I said that. So I am now responsible of the Middle East North African LGBTQ community called Ishaq. It's a party exists in San Francisco. Actually, the next party is on St. Patrick this Saturday. And then I'm executive chef now at Channing House. That's a big, oh, that's my general manager out there. So that's just great. The other thing is you may read is my son is coming July 26th. That's huge.
Oh, can you summarize the whole thing in one word?
10 years, one word. Thank you.
I'll say inspiring.
I would second that. It was very inspiring. In case you didn't hear, the inspiration has been clear here in the US and in the Bay Area, but have there been people, other LGBTQ people in other areas of the world that have been able to take your story and be inspired?
Yeah, you're one of my followers at the page, Ishaq SF, on Facebook. And if you realize I have, I don't know, thousands of people. Most of them, of course, not from the Bay Area. They're from Iraq. I have connection. They contact me. I, give them some of it. But hopefully this will change other, ideas and support others. So my brothers still don't talk to me. He knows I'm gay. And my aunt, she's actually in the States, somewhere in one of those states. She knows I'm gay. She doesn't talk to me. My parents, actually, they don't know. And I have guts to show this. So if they're gonna see this, they love me, they're gonna accept me. And that's about it, I guess, yeah. I don't have any relation with my father, no contact. I mean, he's still alive. My mom is okay. Recently, we're getting back in communication and talking, but more details on the family, I really don't know a lot about them. Yeah, I have a family here. They are my family, and this is my new country.
Do you know anything about the plan?
I'm gonna let my awesome co-producer Neva take it.
So we've been in.
To help bring other Iraqis who are detained, like it was saying.
So we've been in touch with a couple organizations who are helping to bring people who have been translators for our military and have served our country in other ways and are now under threat. The process has slowed down in the last few months. You can imagine with the executive orders coming from the White House. So that's the recent impact. So CARE, the Council for Arabic, and I'm sorry, I'm having a moment, CAIR Relations, they're based in San Francisco. They are actively helping to bring people over. So is IRAP, and there are actually branches throughout the Bay Area that are actively helping to bring people to the US. It's just a longer process now. I'm sorry. Oh, and the LIST project. So a former member of the US military is leading a movement to bring attention to the plight of translators who have served and helped our military. And if you want to look up the LIST project and follow what's Kurt's last name? Johnson. Kirk Johnson is trying to bring more and more attention to this community to help them come here as soon as they can because they're in danger. Do you want to add anything?
No. For Aaron to share with us what it was like to do this project over 10 plus years, and maybe a high point or a low point you'd like to share.
Oh, wow. That's really a great question. Thank you, Lori. Lori has a wonderful film in the festival as well called Adios Amor that just screened today. Had a great turnout. So check her out. They're finished with their screenings, but you can look them up online. So that's a hard question. It's been almost a decade now. June will be 10 years since we've been working on this project. And I think, it's almost more of an interesting question to ask Gazwan, but it's been really difficult. And it's also been really amazing. And I think that there were so many times that I would have actually loved to have walked away from the film. And I think he probably feels the same way as well. I mean, we maintained a good relationship throughout the whole thing, but it was really, really difficult. We experienced some, really challenging ethical decisions and lots of emotional struggle. And I just felt like how can I walk away from this story when he hasn't walked away from his life and everything that he's been through? And so he was a real inspiration for me to keep the project going. And I just am so humbled by him. So the high point is really just him being in my life and teaching me and everybody else around him that you just don't give up. And we saw a really great documentary here also, and there was a quote in it from a man who had been demonized by the medical industry, and he said, "You just have to ignore the bullets." And I just kind of loved that, and he has always had that really incredible ability to just believe in himself and not worry about people who might be criticizing him. And yeah, so that's the high point, just being really inspired by this man and the whole process. We learned a lot.
Gazwan, can you tell? he's ready to roll. Can you tell us how you were able to get some of the most interesting footage was pre-war Iraq, as well as some of the footage and stills with the company, the different companies that you were with over in Iraq after the American occupation. How were you able to get that footage or those stills? Better question. Okay.
So actually, the really interesting answer to that question, there's a lot of different answers. It came from many places, but the footage that you saw that we kind of heavily treated, we did a lot of like an animation process on. All of that, almost all of that, with the exception of maybe 2 clips, came from the Department of Defense. So that was your tax dollars at work. That was free for us to use. So we were grateful, out of all of the difficult, the frustrations that I have with where our tax dollars do often go. That was a nice kind of a blessing there, because it could have cost us tens of thousands of dollars to get that footage. And then a lot of it came from individuals also, and then we licensed through large archival houses. And there were about 12 people that volunteered to actually make the animation process happen.
And this is your first submission of this to CineQuest. Have you been a filmmaker of other films prior to this, prior to 10 years ago, that you have released at festivals or elsewhere?
So this is my first feature-length documentary. I didn't have a lot of bandwidth to do more. And then I do work on a shorts program called Oakland Originals, and those have screened at a couple small festivals, and we screen them at before big movies at the Grand Lake Theater, which is lots of fun. And then I had a film a long time ago, back when I graduated from college, called BDSM, It's Not What You Think, and it premiered at Fairline, and it's quite entertaining. You can still buy a DVD copy, actually.
And we do need to actually continue this elsewhere. I'm sorry, we've got to clear for the next film, but will you guys be around? I'm gonna let Aaron give them some social media love. It's very important. Be sure to fill out your ballots so that they can market the film further. I want Aaron to tell you about the social media and other ways that you can support and speak with them.
So before you go, there's actually a couple people that I really would like to thank for coming, and that's my family who came out from Exeter, Marianne and Richard. Scott's family is down here. It's actually Scott's birthday tomorrow. Big happy birthday to Scott. And one of our editors, Andrew Gersh's family, is in the house as well. And then we're heading over to Cafe Stritch, which is across from the California Theater, to continue the conversation there. We have a website. We're all over the place, from BaghdadToTheBay.com. please sign up for our newsletter and grab a postcard on your way out. All the information is there. Thank you.
Hollywood legend Rita Moreno